Hello, I'm Marsha Bonhart, and welcome to the Dayton Commission Candidates Forum brought to you by the Dayton Weekly News. This is Dayton's longest running African-American news publication. And we've invited all of the candidates to join us on Zoom to respond to a series of questions and issues that are on the minds of Dayton voters. Welcome. Welcome to Valerie Duncan. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. Good morning.
Good morning. Running for office for commission, Dayton City Commission. This is your first time in a political office. Why now?
Well, I've seen a lot of problems in the neighborhood. I attend a lot of neighborhood association meetings even before COVID. And sometimes, it required driving. And so I would go through neighborhoods. And I see the concerns myself. I mean, encountering speeding, encountering trash and debris in alleyways, looking at vacant, dilapidated houses. I was just by. I was in the north of Hillcrest neighborhood, east of North Main Street, and there were so many vacant, dilapidated houses all over the city. And I thought, well, gee, somebody needs to do something about this, and we need to turn it around. So I thought, well, I should get involved, and I should get in the race.
Understood. In fact, neighborhoods appear to be your platform, and you focus on strong neighborhoods. You say that to create stronger neighborhoods, you have to create collaborative partnerships to address the various needs of the city. So to most people, those efforts that you're talking about are going to cost a lot of money, which the city says it doesn't have. So how do you plan to create those collaborative efforts?
Well, right now we have a lot of those partnerships that already exist. Like, downtown has the Dayton Development Coalition, Dayton Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Dayton Partnership, Citywide Development. Now, Citywide Development, the Downtown or the Dayton Collaboration Development Coalition. There's all kinds of names. They can help. They can help now. I mean, the help should have started a long, long time ago. I mean, we have currently commissioners on there that's been on there 12 years. Matt Joseph's been on there 12 years and going on 16. Daryl Fairchild is on there now. Jeff Mims has an 8-year term. And so, we should have been starting a long, long time ago before this. And $147 million is coming to the city through that federal stimulus package. And we need to devote more monies to the Housing Inspection Division so that they can function adequately. Right now, they're under par. They're not being able to do their job. I think they have 2 inspectors. And so we're having this cycle going on, this chronic cycle of dilapidated houses, houses that turn into dilapidated houses, and houses that turn into vacant houses, and then houses that turn into boarded houses.
So you're saying by rebuilding, by tearing these houses down and or rebuilding them, that would make stronger neighborhoods?
Well, there's a lot of other things. We have to connect everything, the residents, the city of Dayton, these coalitions, the partnerships, and the housing inspection, the nuisance abatement, get involved in the schools, the churches. I mean, it's when the collaboration, it means all the bodies that exist, entities that exist in that neighborhood. And there's a variety of different neighborhoods, and they all have different partnerships now, and with churches and with the schools. So I'm talking about home ownership. Some of these houses need to be torn down. They're beyond repair. I was a housing inspector, so I know, what houses, I can just see what houses can be fixed up, what houses do have to be demolished. But there's a lot of houses that can be saved. and we can turn them around. We need to create home ownership programs so that the residents of the cities of Dayton can acquire these houses. Our labor, we have a large labor force here in Dayton, and they're in rental property. One way to turn the neighborhoods around and stabilize them is to make more homeowners. And we can do that through programs. We had them in the 80s when I worked for the Frog Priority Board. You could acquire a home for $1. We need to bring all those programs back.
Thank you. I wanted you to know that I did receive one of your flyers, and this is where I'm going with this conversation right now.
Okay.
You also mentioned, and you were talking about job creation to promote Dayton and the region's markets. But when you say the region's markets, do you think that focusing on the region sort of diminishes any efforts to create development for the city itself? There are a lot of people who are not going to be that fond of creating something for the region when the city itself needs so much.
Okay. Well, the region is already created, and we have our beltways are already there. I-70, I-75, I-675. And what it is to the current owners, businesses, industrial factories, e-commerce that are here in Dayton. We need, through our development department, to our economic development department, need to help them with identifying their clientele, their business. We have like a 90-minute market we can reach because of these beltways. We can reach the markets, and we, as the city of Dayton, we can help these businesses with that effort. And same thing with job creation. You know, this town is known for innovation. The Wright brothers, Charles Kettering, and we need to apply that. You know, there's all sorts of universities around here. UD, Wright State, St. Clair, Wilberforce, Central State, and we need to get them involved too. And Wright-Patterson is getting so many millions and millions of dollars for that Space Force, for their material command. And we need to help our contractors cut through the red tape and figure out what the criteria is to get a hold of those dollars and create jobs right here in Dayton.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's talk about racism as a public health crisis. The city has recently declared such and received a lot of criticism regarding how it's allocating budget dollars in this priority area and for its lack of investment in the HRC. I'm going to go now to a February Dayton Daily News article, which protects the civil rights of vulnerable community members, provides contracting assistance to minority businesses, and is also an integral part of the police reform efforts. Is there anything that you have done specifically, and what will you do if you are to be elected to support the Human Relations Council as it continues to work to close that gap, the gap of racial disparities, and to strengthen the equity and inclusion regarding contracting opportunities within the city?
Well, this new police reform package is a start, and they have all the entities that you just named involved already. I mean, but we need to spell out some of their duties. You have to take a look at it. It goes on for pages and pages and pages. But the mediation center is involved. Human Relations Council is involved, and we need to bring all the groups together, everybody that should be involved in police reform at the table. And again, we're heading in the right direction. But the police, okay.
The question was specific to supporting the Human Relations Council. That
Right.
organization is working to close racial disparities. So what would you do as a commissioner to support the HRC for its work?
Well, I would, review its function to see if it's broad enough to reach all these different groups. All the groups that are within the city of Dayton, the LGBTQ, I'm sorry, LGBTQ plus community. All our minorities are immigrants. We have a large group of immigrants, and including the women's groups. So let's, yes, I'd like for the Human Relations Council to continue its work and bring all the different groups that we have in the city of Dayton together and talk about diversity and talk about racism and to get together actually a plan to address it.
Thank you very much. I'm going to once again take a look at another Dayton Daily News article, this one from October of 2020, that quotes hundreds of members of Dayton's largest union and non-union employees will not get a pay increase in 2021 as the city tries to grapple with large pandemic-related revenue losses. Union members and Dayton leaders say they have to get creative to try to hold down personnel costs, and the city's budget has been thrown into uncertainty by major economic disruptions tied to COVID-19. This is a quote from the newspaper. So a few months later, the current city commission is asking voters now to change the city charter to support a pay increase for the mayor and the city commissioners. So do you agree with that charter change, and why?
No, I don't agree with the charter change. If the concern is that because of COVID-19, that we're not getting as much revenue from the income tax because workers are staying at home. So normally, let's say a worker that lived in Beaver Creek would go to the factory or company or business that's in Dayton, and then Dayton would deduct the payroll tax from their check. Now that's not happening because that person that lives in Beaver Creek is staying at home and doing work there. So we're losing like $25 million a year for that. So we really need to be prudent. We need to, I think the mayor position is just a part-time position. We need to not increase their income as it relates to the Montgomery County commissioners.
Thank you. Let's talk about the downtown Dayton core. It's certainly being rebirthed in development with the arcade and some new upscale housing and commercial development. Certainly, many of these were subsidized by the city dollars. The citizens have expressed concerns that this same type of investment has not been taking place in neighboring communities, and this is your area of concern and expertise. What will you do as a commissioner to commit to ensure that the neighborhoods experience the same kind of rebirth and attention that they need to thrive and survive, the same as what has been happening in downtown?
Well, we have these different neighborhood development corporations. They need to be expanded. They need to identify what is lacking as far as our neighborhoods are concerned. I think there has been all sorts of surveys done by the University of Dayton of almost, I think, each individual neighborhood, but they're sitting on the planning department's shelf. So we need to start reviewing all those plans and see which ones need to be updated with the citizens' input of that neighborhood, and then devise a plan, a strategy and implement it. Start implementing these plans. We have the different coalitions already exist. We just need to start connecting the needs of the neighborhood with those entities and with the City of Dayton Economic Development Department and Citywide Development Department. Ms.
Duncan, you focus a lot on economic development, of course, and inclusive development. So What this often entails, like promoting fair contracting processes that make sure that small minority, excuse me, and disadvantaged businesses are included in procurement activities. So as a commissioner, if you can detail for me how you would ensure that the city administration reduces its number of no bid contracts and promotes full and open competition.
Well, that would be through the city manager's office. Contracts are accepted usually through our economic development department, and I think it's also run through several other departments. So that's what the city manager needs to do, is to have a bid contracts, so that all contractors, all businesses, small, minority, can apply and will qualify. Again, the criteria needs to be adjusted so that small businesses, minority businesses can qualify to apply for the contracts to begin with.
Sure. But how would you as a commissioner make sure that that happens?
Well, if we need to pass legislation or we need to create programs, I think we do through the Human Relations Council. I think we do have a small business council. At least we did have one. I would create one, and so that would be addressed. They would have a body and an entity to communicate with.
Thank you. You mentioned earlier, excuse me, I'm so sorry, the latest COVID-19 stimulus bill, and you mentioned that the $147 million. What would you do? How would you invest that money specifically?
Okay, well, I would invest it in our neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods just need so much help. Because
all $147 million of the dollars?
Well, not the whole amount. We'd have to review. We'd have to do a budget review again. We'd have to open up so that there's another budget review to review all of the departments and what currently their funding is and where it's needed the most. And of course, one of the areas that it needs the most is our Division of Housing Inspection and our Nuisance Abatement Division. Those would be definitely included if I was elected City Commission.
We're going to talk about national events and how they relate to us locally, but regarding community police relations. As you will know, the city has undergone a 9-month police reform process with members of the community. Do you think this really addresses the issue of race relations and policing?
Well, it is a start. Again, you need to bring all the different groups in the city together to deal with the racist issues. Racism has been around for, before the Civil War, right? And Abraham Lincoln, he was able to get amendments to our Constitution to make citizens of the slaves. They became citizens. And then the Black male got the right to vote for the 15th Amendment. I think it's the 15th Amendment. So that was a first start there, the birth of a new nation. And we just have to keep at it. We have the Civil Rights Act of 1964 under Lyndon B. Johnson, Baines Johnson. And then we need to build on that. And I think through our efforts, I think we have lobbyists through the city going to the State House, and we need to do that with our representatives at the federal level to get legislation passed to broaden those civil rights of the Blacks and all the minorities
Well,
and that would help.
can we talk about Dayton specifically and in reference to the reform process, that the 9 months that members of the community and the city went through to sort of address those race issues and policing? Can we talk about Dayton specifically, and as a commissioner, what you would do, or would you have done something differently with that 9-month police reform process? How would you handle that as a commissioner for the city of Dayton?
Well, they've done a good job, a good start, and as a commissioner, I would support the current efforts, and again, do a review. When I would get elected, I would do a review of all the policies and procedures that the city has, and this would be one of them, police reform, and see if there's something in addition to what we've started as a city of Dayton in addressing this issue of racism and police reform.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about Governor DeWine and his initiative to address minority health and racial disparities. Mayor Whaley and the commissioners have praised his declaration that racism is a public health crisis and declared racism as a public health emergency. What are your thoughts on this declaration? What will you do to address the issue of racial disparity in this area, in Dayton?
Well, I'd get all the different groups again together to really review the racism here in Dayton. I mean, when and during that Zoom NAACP Zoom meeting, the leader was asking, "Well, do you think Dayton has had racism for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years?" And the answer is yes. But then what have we been doing? You know, all these different groups, women's groups, the minority groups, the Black groups. There's all kinds of Black Lives Matters groups that exist now. And so we need to really address, okay, what have we done and what can we do? And really start to get an action plan to really address racism here in the city.
Ms. Duncan, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.